This is Mayer Amschel Rothschild. He laid the foundation on which his 5 sons would build their Europe-wide business.
The Rothschilds, they've been working behind the scenes for decades, and it's crazy what this family has accomplished.
They were involved in major events, one of the wealthiest families in the world history as well as one of the most controversial. This family was one of the biggest influences in the banking world in the past 400 years. The origins of the Rothschild family is a fascinating story. In common-day Germany, the Rothschild story begins in Frankfurt. Frankfurt experienced significant growth in the centuries leading up to the French Revolution, boasting a population of around 35,000 residents, with roughly 1/10 of them being of Jewish descent. Given their distinctive aptitude for commerce and finance, it was only natural that individuals of the Jewish community would find Frankfurt an appealing destination. Additionally, towards the end of the Middle Ages, the Jewish community in Frankfurt enjoyed considerable freedom, encountering minimal obstacles to their settlement. It wasn't until the non-Jewish members of the business community realized that they were facing stiff competition from these enterprising newcomers that Christian citizens in greater numbers banded together to address the issue. A period of severe oppression commenced for the Jewish community at this point. In an effort to relocate them away from the vicinity of the town's most significant church, a law was enacted in 1462, compelling Jewish residents to vacate their current homes and establish residence in a designated area known as the Jewish City. However, this designated area consisted of nothing more than a narrow, dimly lit alley, approximately 12 feet wide, described as the ghetto. For over 3 centuries, this alley remained the exclusive dwelling place for Frankfurt's Jewish community, whose presence in the city grew increasingly unpopular among the other residents. The ancestors of the Rothschild family endured conditions similar to those in the Frankfurt ghetto. The ancestor of Mayer Amschel Rothschild, who laid the groundwork for the family's future prominence, lived during the mid-16th century. We have records of their names, and their graves are preserved in the ancient Jewish cemetery in Frankfurt. Rothschild, born as the 4th child to a modest money changer and cloth merchant, unquestionably faced numerous challenges. In the past, houses in the Jewish quarter lacked numerical addresses and were instead identified by distinct shields on the outside of the homes. The dwelling where the Rothschild family resided bore a small red shield, a fact that undoubtedly influenced their family name. Primarily involved in various forms of retail trade, the family transitioned into modest money-changing activities by the early 18th century. Surviving tax payment records suggest that they were not destitute, but rather enjoyed a reasonably comfortable financial status. At the age of 10, Mayer Amschel was enlisted by his father to engage in the practice of coin conversion, which involved swapping gold and silver for the appropriate amount of copper currency, commonly known as the coarse money. In the tumultuous conditions prevalent in Germany, a country divided into numerous small principals, cities, and spiritual jurisdictions, each with its distinct currency system, the money-changing business presented lucrative opportunities for profit. Every individual, before embarking on even the briefest journey, had to seek the service of a currency exchange merchant. As the young boy matured, his involvement in the occupation led to a significant secondary interest. he occasionally came into possession of rare and historical valuable coins, which stirred within him a passion of numismatist or a coin collector. After being orphaned at the age of 12, young Meyer leveraged family connections to secure an apprenticeship at the banking firm of Wolf Jacob Oppenheim in Hanover. Entering the Oppenheim firm in Hanover, Meyer Amschel diligently gathered any available materials related to the field. Relatively early in life, around 1763, he returned to his hometown in Frankfurt to assume control of his inheritance. Upon doing so, he embarked on establishing his own business, having received a practical education both at home and during his time in Hanover. During this era, Frankfurt attracted a significant influx of foreign visitors every spring, primarily due to its renowned town fairs. These fairs showcased the latest products from around the world, and a young entrepreneur named William of Hanau, who possessed a keen business acumen, took a keen interest in attending these events regularly. Meyer Amschel adeptly acquired advanced knowledge of William's visits from the prince's servants and capitalized on these opportunities to not only present rare coins, but to offer precious gemstones and antiques while William was in Frankfurt. While this was primarily orchestrated through the prince's entourage, he occasionally conducted these transactions personally, ultimately establishing a steady business rapport. His fortune lay in the prince's unique disposition, as the prince did not share the prevailing bias against Jews. Instead, he valued individuals with intellect, business acumen, and those who he believed could serve his interests effectively. During that period, titles and honors held considerably more practical significance than they do today. Without some form of title, doors remained firmly closed to individuals, and anyone lacking a noble title by birth sought to secure an office or at least an official designation from one of the numerous counts or minor rulers who still held significant authority. Meyer Amschel Rothschild, displaying remarkable insight into human nature despite his youth, being only 25 at the time, concentrated his efforts on utilizing his association with the Prince of Hanau to attain a courtly title. His objective extended beyond enhancing his overall prestige. He aimed to strengthen his ties with other princes with an interest in numismatics. In 1769, he composed a notably humble petition addressed to the Prince of Hanau. In this letter, he referred to various goods and humbly requested to be the most graciously granted the privilege of being appointed court agent. Meyer Amschel pledged unwavering devotion of his energy and resources to the prince's service. The initial step in this sequence was granted, and the appointment was duly executed on September 21, 1769. Henceforth, the name Rothschild bore a distinguished addition of Crown Agent to the Principality of Hesse-Hanau. He was designated Court Jew. In the autumn of 1785, the elderly Landgrave of Hesse-Kassel, Frederick II, succumbed to a stroke. His son Wilhelm, who had previously been a patron to the Rothschild, ascended the throne as Wilhelm IX. Kassel, situated 100 miles north of Frankfurt, notably more distant than Hanau, which Rothschild could reach within an hour via stagecoach. Nevertheless, the connections with Wilhelm remained immensely valuable, and Rothschild was resolute in preserving it. He intensified his efforts to gain Wilhelm's trust, making a trip to Kassel shortly after Wilhelm's coronation to ensure the new Landgrave remembered his existence. Rothschild's service to Wilhelm did not involve merely safeguarding and managing his wealth, but encompassed the administration of Wilhelm's English investments. These investments paved the way for Meyer Amschel's third son, Nathan Rothschild, to establish a prosperous banking enterprise in England. Around the year 1800, Nathan was dispatched to England by his father, ultimately assuming responsibility for managing Wilhelm's English investments, which laid the foundation for his career as a banker in London. In 1810, the family business transformed into Mayer Amschel Rothschild and Sons, with Mayer Amschel himself nearing the age of 66 or 67 and suffering from serious illness. On his deathbed, he declared that his daughters, sons-in-law, and heir would not have any stake in the family business, which would exclusively belong to his 5 sons. This testament was strictly followed by his immediate successors and continued for generations, leaving a lasting impact on the Rothschild family. Following their father's wishes, the 5 brothers established permanent branches in Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples, significantly enhancing their influence. In 1814, Nathan Rothschild took on the crucial role of financing Britain's war against Napoleon's forces. However, their financial aid extended beyond Britain, benefiting the Holy Alliance consisting of Austria, Russia, and Prussia. Drawing from their father's wisdom, the brothers crafted attractive terms for governments and officials they engaged with. They also capitalized on currency exchange rate fluctuations, leveraging their presence in various markets to buy currency at a discount and sell it for profit elsewhere. Nathan emerged as key decision maker, earning the moniker Commanding General of their enterprise. In the era when European politicians commonly accepted favors from bankers, including investing advice and bribes, the Rothschilds were no exception. Their involvement in such practices allowed them to maintain close ties with the political elite, bolstering their success and influence. One notable instance involves lending money to King Louis XVIII, with Nathan facilitating £200,000 loan on behalf of the British government for the king's return to France in 1814, insisting on repayment with interest 3 years later. The Rothschild also engaged in long-term beneficial deals, including transactions with the Prussian diplomat Wilhelm von Humboldt. Among their influential relationships during that period was the Rothschilds' association with the Austrian statesman Clemens von Metternich, who also happened to be a client of the Rothschild and faced financial constraints throughout his lengthy political career. The story of the Rothschilds is undoubtedly profound as it is complicated. Their more recent activity is harder to distinguish between fact and fiction. However, the origins of this family lead back to one man, Mayer Amschel Rothschild. The Rothschilds are arguably the most influential and affluent family in the 19th century Europe, with branches in key financial centers across the continent. They conducted financial transactions in the heart of Europe's major financial cities. Their relationships with prominent political figures expanded their influence across diverse groups and advanced their agenda. Overall, the Rothschilds left their mark in virtually every sphere of influence, building one of the most prosperous businesses of their time.